Hi, this is the Purdue Accessibility team. These are our 3 UX designers, Sophie, Shryansi, and Garrett. These are our 3 web programmers, Nathanael, Maura, and Saswat. And this is our game design and animator, Josh. Our sponsor is Nicole Martin, a DRC Access consultant at Purdue University. DRC, or Disability Resource Center, is the office designated by Purdue to provide services, resources, and programs to facilitate equal access for disabled students.
Our user group for this project were physically disabled students at Purdue, and for problem statement, we wanted to focus on physically disabled students at Purdue who experience barriers across campus with no documentation of their existence or maintenance. Our goal was to design and develop a website where students can report physical accessibility barriers on campus.
So this project was inspired by conversations with disabled students that we had on campus. The bottom line is that maintaining and expanding an accessible campus is not a priority to Purdue. This is made evident by the fact that Purdue has not updated their campus accessibility guide since 2016. Because of this, a lot of newer buildings like Walk do not even have accessibility information. A lack of updated information and infrastructure are the reasons why a lot of disabled students at Purdue do not get to have the same experiences as other students on campus, which in some cases is just the ability to go to class. We will be designing this website for both abled and disabled students to report and monitor accessibility issues on campus. By keeping a record of Purdue's continued neglect of its disabled community, we will be able to bring awareness to the issue and encourage Purdue to take action.
In order to measure the success of our deliverables, we were in regular contact with our stakeholders and provided them with updates and received a lot of feedback from them. Upon completion of the final product, we conducted an exit interview with this stakeholder. This interview consisted of questions that pertain to the aesthetics, functionality, customer reception, and site viewership. Alongside this, a survey was conducted amongst our peers in order to judge the site on these same principles. The measures that were surveyed and evaluated included, but not limited to, the ease to determine accessibility challenges, how easy it is to contribute reports and observations, and possibly how empowering the website is to people with accessibility concerns.
Okay, so for UX strategy and plan of action, we have technology. We use Miro to organize our research insights, build the framework of the platform, and map out user journeys and needs. We use Whimsical and Figma to sketch, prototype, and iterate in order to design. We also use these platforms to share visuals that ultimately led to the final deliverable. We then use Cascade to create the website. This is a website maker internal to Purdue that we successfully were granted access to. For our process, we started with analyzing the issues at hand with accessibility on college campuses, generating ideas to how to mitigate these for students with accessibility issues, and then researching. Some of this can be found in our literature review. We understood our user group and mapped out their needs, built out a framework, and then sketched. And this sketching ultimately led to our Cascade high fidelity prototyping using the tool that makes the real Purdue websites. We could then test, asking our users about our designs and confirming to our sponsor that it met their expectations.
Now, with the site build component of our action plan, web development and user experience design went hand in hand. Since this project is centered around creating a more accessible campus, an accessible and seamless navigation experience on the website will serve as the first impression to set the user's expectations of accessibility. With that, as the designers began to flesh out the components of the website through wireframing in Figma and Miro, the programming part of our team began to flesh out the back end of the website. As we continued to flesh out different pages of the website, the UX and programming parts of the team stayed in constant communication to ensure that we were working towards the same goals. This way, we were able to ensure that all accessibility and usability guidelines could be met. We planned out our production schedule at the beginning of the semester to ensure that we would meet all of our deliverables and goals on time. This semester started with an initial meeting with our client, Nicole, where we consulted about design details and specifications. A month later, we were able to provide initial mock-ups and receive feedback, as well as begin coding the structure of the website. On March 2nd, we provided iterations and received a second round of feedback from our sponsor. A couple weeks later, we were able to test iterated mock-ups with users, as well as continue coding the website. Another couple weeks later, we analyzed more testing feedback and implemented necessary changes. And then by April 25th, we were able to complete the website. The UX team was able to conduct multiple different kinds of research, including interviews with students, a literature review, and then additional research that helped us understand our users and our project space. We interviewed 6 students with disabilities who live on Purdue's campus, and the main 3 takeaways that we took away from that experience was there is an extreme lack of building-specific accessibility information, and that makes it really difficult for people on campus who have disabilities to be able to navigate it comfortably. Accessibility information in general is also very difficult for students and faculty to find, as it is just one PDF that is not widely known that Purdue has for people to see what kind of accessibility features are on campus. Lastly, there was an overwhelming sense of having to compromise and there not being enough accommodations. And one participant even said that they feel that they're constantly forced to adapt because of Purdue's constant negligence of a lot of the physical infrastructure and its lack of accessibility. For the literature review, we reviewed 6 academic articles, and the main takeaways that we got from this literature review is that Purdue is not alone in its inaccessibility. There are many other college campuses that fail to support students with disabilities. It is also very common for universities to only meet the minimum accessibility requirements that are required by ADA law, which means that they're not addressing the needs of all of their students. It's just doing the bare minimum to avoid lawsuit. And lastly, there is a lack of information online about the accessibility of college campuses and what different colleges have to offer students with disabilities. So if Purdue were to increase its transparency about this, I believe that they would be able to attract more kinds of students and more diverse students if they choose to start taking care of the needs of their disabled students. Lastly, we conducted some additional research on what Purdue currently has to offer its students with disabilities. The main resource that there is a campus accessibility guide. As you can see on the right, this has not been revised since 2015, meaning it doesn't include any of the new buildings, including Walk, which is one of the most popular buildings on campus for studying and classes. The accessibility guide is organized into 7 quadrants, and it is a very complex system to try to figure out which buildings have which accessibility features. It's also very difficult to interpret the visuals, and it's hard to quickly find information. So those issues that we saw in the original campus guide, we tried to address through creating a website.
Before starting to build our website, we needed to wireframe and decide on our website's layout. So we used Whimsical, which is a wireframing tool, and made various wireframes for the pages with different layouts for us to have options to choose from and guide us better throughout the process. We also looked at some of the Purdue's existing websites for inspiration. These websites were innovative learning, accessibility resources, and many more. This helped us understand Purdue's brand and design guidelines better.
For our final deliverable, we created a website where students can easily and quickly find building-specific accessibility information, as well as report accessibility issues that they find on campus, so that Purdue can update their campus infrastructure to meet the needs of every student. This website is hosted on Cascade and follows Purdue branding guidelines. Now I'll show you a demo of our final deliverable.
Hello, and welcome to the new and refined Purdue Campus Accessibility Guide. We've taken the Campus Accessibility Guide and turn it into an interactive site where you can find accessibility information. Here, you can find accessibility information for nearly every building on campus, as well as report accessibility problems. If you want to find information on a specific building, click on the Search for a Building tab, which can be found on the home page. Then, search for the building through the list we have provided. For this demo, we will look into the Weatherhall Building of Chemistry. Click on the link and you will find a page dedicated to that specific building and its accessibility information. If you want to report accessibility problems, click on the Submit to Accessibility Concern tab, which can be found on the home page. We want to ensure that every student feels comfortable navigating campus, so feel free to report any accessibility issues you come across through the form found on our website.
Please leave any questions you have below, and thank you for listening.